So I created like this little sample for Best Buy. Um, so just implemented a few methods. Let's see.
Okay.
So yes, who is this? Okay. All right. Okay. So very quickly, this is like for common methods. I always add my logins into a common method because almost every other test class or every other wherever you're in, whatever you're testing will always have a login. So I usually always throw my login into the common methods, and usually a logout button too. But in this case, I didn't create one. Um, so very simple. It's just going. It's after you launch the website. A problem I encountered with Best Buy is that whenever you clear the cookies, there's always this one pop-up that appears. Um, so you need to close that. And I tried using a bunch of different methods. For instance, iframe handle and the alerts. Alerts won't work because that pop-up doesn't really have a cancel button or like a dismiss button. But I tried the iframe handle to move back to the home page, but that doesn't work either. So I just created like a small web element to close it. So this works each time it opens, it'll close that pop-up. It's very good to use CSS in on this website. At least I've seen it's a very simple locator. It's just dot close and it closes it. Uh, and then you're just sending keys and such. That's about it, right? Uh, yep. Okay. I did something else here. Did it? Was it here? Okay. Another interesting thing I found out while doing is that you can actually send multiple keys at a time. So, for instance, I'm retrieving something from the database, and then at the same time, after I'm done doing this, you can actually just add a comma and say, hey, keys.enter. So you can do two things in one line. So otherwise, I would have to actually create another element for the search button. But if you just press enter, it'll search for you. So this kind of it's like a cheat for me over here. Um, okay, so let's run this. So Paul, this will be an example of how the flow runs. Except I have to cut it at a point because number one, it asks for my phone number. Number two, after you go to that page, it asks for a credit card. So I just avoided those steps. No matter what, you won't be able to get out of that page because I would have to enter a valid credit card. I don't want to do that. So that and you have to enter a valid phone number. So let's run this. We can run this through Maven, I believe. Let's try that. Uh,
So Furqan, you just created one page, right?
yeah, this is the home page. Sorry, not this, not this, not this. So this is like the homepage pageFactory. It has the search bar. It is actually not the homepage pageFactory because it has a bunch of elements regarding to our after we search. But I believe you could always put these elements here because I mean it is like well, you actually could create a separate class and put these elements there. But in this case, I just put it here. So what would
Right.
you have in the homepage pageFactory, for instance, if you go to bestbuy.com here and
It was my main concern when you jump from page to another page, for example, when you start to check out, it's already another page.
right, that's true. So,
My
the
question.
purpose of a page factory would be actually sort of like a UI. It is actually so. From what I've seen, a page factory is more like also a UI. In how UI you implement different pages. Uh, so for instance, you have this page right here, right? So you could make this your homepage UI, and then from here you can navigate to different sections, right? So that would be part of your UI. Then you can make a separate page called called the homepage pageFactory, which would have things, for instance, sign in, lists, and cart and such. Uh, the way we've been doing it, some things get really redundant because you end up doing two things. So you end up creating the homepage pageFactory, then you end up doing the UI. It's actually, most of it is very interrelated. So
Okay,
it's kind of
could you I'm sorry, could you explain slowly what's the difference between UI and a homepage, please?
so UI. It's not exactly a thing, or it's just like the user interface. So it's to make everything easier for you. So, for instance, you want to go to products, and let's say you want to go to TV and home theaters, right? Um, and go to 4K Ultra HD TVs. So what would a UI do? A UI would let you call one method that allows you to go directly to this page right here. So how would you do that? So you would create, a UI package, and under that you would probably have to store all these things inside of like either a web element list, or you could create separate web elements for them, right? And then from there you could click on a certain one and then go on 4K Ultra HD TV. So, um,
So it's going to be on the homepage page factory. It's going to be UI. What's
no, this would be, so you could do one of two things. You could either make it under pageFactory, or you could make it under UI. But UI would be better in this case, I would say. So in the homepage pageFactory, for your case, I would say only have things like sign in, maybe. But that in this case, you could also just do that in your common method, so you wouldn't need to create a homepage UI for that. So before I confuse you too much, let's say what you could do for this, for instance, is create a UI for this products, brands, deals, and services. So you would have so we're not actually making a UI for the homepage. We're making UI for these separate things over here. So for the homepage UI would only have so for instance, let's say let me give you a sample here. So
right now you're showing the page factory, right? Where you create the web elements and you call them, right?
right, that's the page factory. So for UI, what I would do would I would have a UI here, and
Uh-huh.
then I would call it like the homepage UI, right? Homepage, or we could call it navigation from homepage. This would be better. You don't really even have to call it UI, but let's put it in there since that's what we've been using. And then inside of here, you could create a package called products UI, right? And from there, you could create a class called products.
I hope nobody minds
Oh no,
these.
I think this. I mean, everybody could. I mean, this is for everybody. So so from in what would you have in this? You would have something that clicks on products, and well, this is really broad. So what could you do?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really broad. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't implement everything over here. That's too much. That's a lot of stuff. I mean, you would
No.
have to, yeah.
Just to understand the general idea.
Yeah, so a general idea would be so okay. So products actually have done so products has a lot of stuff. So this would actually contain multiple layers of UI. So as you go to from navigation, you would go to products, and from products you have all these bunch of things. So inside of products, you could probably set up something that allows you to reach all of these individual elements. Yeah,
But
every tab has it. Right.
we're not
So
gonna
it's
implement web page there. It's gonna be just regular. Could you show what's actually under UI? So it's kind of clear already what the page factory means.
okay.
What is in UI will be.
Okay, so let's see. Let me give you a sample here. So we have one for products, right? So let's say public void. not void. So we'll be returning the products, right? And let's call it, I don't know, products U. I like calling it U. Okay, there we go. So how do we access the products material? So you would need to come here and click on this first, right? So actually, let's open this on
So
Firefox.
instead of web element, you create a method, right?
What do you mean? Oh, no, we will still be creating a web element for clicking on products. Let me show you. Let me just set it up and then I'll show you. So so this is called menu 0, right? So let's go back and so over here, yes, you would have to you would have to create a web element. So you could call it there's probably another thing you could do. You could grab, but I think, um, let's see. I don't know if, okay, so yeah, you could do this too. I would prefer, so, right, so products menu, shop by brands, deals, and services. Um, I don't think CSS works like this. That's where XPath. Let's change to XPath. I'm not too experienced with CSS. Uh, UI basically is user interface, so anything on any page could be a UI, right? It doesn't have to be on the home page.
I understand what UI means, but how it's
Oh no,
gonna.
somebody else was asking. So, okay, that's not it. Let's grab these individual elements. Oh, so this is under nothing? So it says menu 0, menu 1. Uh, how would you grab all of these in a list though? Yeah, it's the same thing, Sachin. Okay, so in this case, you could just create a web element. I'm not exactly sure how you would grab all of these into a list. Bilal, any idea? Okay, because these have unique XPaths. See, it says menu 0, menu 1, menu 2, and menu 3. Although, I mean, creating web elements isn't all that bad either, but you know, it could save us time. Okay, let's see if this is okay, for now, let's just use this web element up here. I don't think you can grab all of them inside a list. So let's say how.xpath using products menu, right? So you would have a products menu. So you would what? You would click on it, right? Perfect. Then what? Then this would return new products. So once you have that, now what do you have inside of products? Once you click on it, you have all these different items. Now, all these different items you can implement inside of products right here. So you would have to create separate methods on how to access each and every one of these. Uh, Paul, does that make sense?
Yes, continue.
Okay. Alright, so let's say about these featured items here. Let's see if they're under the same. They are. So this is div1, li1, li2, li3, li4, and li5. Okay, 5 and 6. Okay. So let's grab this right here. No, that doesn't work. Let's grab this individually and let's say. Okay, there you go. So you see how all of these are highlighted? Basically, with this XPath here, you can grab all these elements. Now you can actually put them inside a list. So if we were to do, let's create it inside a, let's call it method. So list. Equals we need to extend. So let's say this extends your navigation homepage UI, and your navigation homepage UI extends your common methods, and that common methods. There you go. And that extends your base class general purpose methods. Somebody's not muted. Oh, yeah, I should have tried getting the absolute XPath, but oh, that /a, so that would give us all the elements. Let me see. Here, nope, that doesn't work. Or is that absolute XPath? Bilal, does that work? Oh, I don't know if you updated your. Are you using Firefox? If you're using Firefox, some people have been telling me that if you have updated it, uh, they removed XPath or something. They did something with the Firebug. They removed it. Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, you can consult with Abraham. I I don't know what they did. I believe there's one for Chrome. Um, or yeah, you could probably downgrade your Firefox. Okay, so list web element list. So I'm sorry, I confused you. Okay, so let's go back here and okay, somebody's been unmuted. Somebody's unmuted. I really don't know.
Sachin is unmuted.
Yeah, I just muted him, but I still can hear. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um. Okay, let's go back to grabbing this. So we're just saying, hey, driver. Oops. No idea. I just muted you two, and actually, you're still muted, so I'm not sure who that is. Um, oh, MD. There. You go. Oh, but I don't even see a mic button. So I don't know if he actually even has a mic. I don't see a mic button next to his name. Anyway, there we go. Now why is it giving me an error? Oh, no wonder. Um, By.xpath. Oh, okay, there we go. Uh-huh. Oh, come on, there you go. So now this list would contain all our elements here, right? So top tech, virtual reality, blah blah blah. So if we say, hey public void, let's call it get top tech, right? Actually, we wouldn't say void, we would say return. So now this is what I mean by multiple layers. You would have another class for top tech. So inside of in this UI, you could make another package for. Actually, not inside of that. You can make it inside of products UI and call it top tech. Okay, now inside here you could return top tech and say element. Sorry, what's the list name? List dot get 0. Okay, so let me go on about the structure. So what is it doing? So from the home page, you're clicking on the products menu, right? Right, which would be this right here. And from the products menu, after clicking that, you're returning new products, right? And what does products contains? So products contains all these elements inside of it. So in this list right here, we're only storing these elements over here, right? So if you want to navigate to top tech, you can say, hey, top tech, public top tech, get top tech, and then you're clicking on the 0th element of this list over here. Now, what is the how do we know this is stored on the 0th element? Because this XPath right here gives us only these elements right here. So we'll test this in a bit and see if this works. But as you can see, the purpose of this is to navigate through different layers. By not having to by not having to call certain methods. You'll see that in the when we're running the test to how we can actually access all of this. So let's see, if we click on top tech, right, what do we get? We get all these top new technologies and whatnot. So
I'm sorry.
so we should be able to access this page, right?
I'm sorry. Let me ask you a stupid question. What's the purpose of returning a new page of products?
I'm sorry. This one.
You're returning the new return line 17. You return a new top page. What's the purpose of returning a new page?
Okay, so what would be the purpose would be after you so when you create this top tech over here, you will have a bunch of elements regarding this page. So anything unique that's regarding this page. So although this doesn't really have that much, but you could say, hey, shop new tech by category, right? If these elements are unique to this page, you will probably have to implement this inside of here. So if you see, it's basically a way of navigating in an orderly manner, So every UI. So the reason for returning top tech here would be whatever new elements or whatever contact top tech has to offer will be inside of this class top tech over here. So what is top tech? So you understand? Yeah, that's true, Herman. I don't underestimate your power though. Um, so over here, top tech, you don't really see that much, right? Um, but if you were to have a page that would give you like a bunch of new elements, you would have to implement another. So am I confusing you? Like, do you get
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
if you just create the method where you just click on a link, and the difference between you just click on the link and you returning a new page. What's the difference between the methods?
Okay, so what's the purpose of doing all of that? As I said, you're accessing elements in a very orderly manner. Everything has to be in a very orderly manner, right? So what's the purpose? So I'm let me create a test class and you'll see what I mean by it. So if I actually just use this one and create a test case, right? So we won't be logging in. Let's not log in. So where we have to initialize this page factory, and I will do this one. Yep. No, we don't have to initialize this one. So
Please comment what you're doing.
oh, nothing much. I'm just this is just extending product. So I'm just extending this class into our test class. But that's all I'm doing. So let me just create the test. So what are we doing? First, you would need to create a page factory initialization for this because you're creating a web element. If you don't do that, it'll give you a null pointer exception. It has to initialize these elements before accessing them. So page factory, not page factory. What is that called? Navigation. Let's call it UI is equal to page factory. So from here we need to access products, right? So products. Well, we're directly extending this, so we don't need to create anything new. And we're not creating any elements, so we don't need to do page initialization for this. So from here, what can you do? If you go back here, you can say, hey, UI dot. Now, we created that method called products view, right? Dot. And from here, you can access, right? Dot. So what am I doing here? I'm only initializing this page factory, right? But as you can see, from here, from the products, from navigation homepage, which contains this method called products view, right? So if we do Control B, we can go to. So this is a navigation homepage, right? And then it's returning new products, so you'll be able to access all the elements here. So um, this method right here is returning all the elements in this class over here. So if you go back to your login page, you see how I can access from one point I can jump to another class.
Furqan,
Dot,
can you mute that person that's in the background?
who is it? I'm not sure who it is because the only one I can
Mute
see.
everybody. Just mute everybody.
Okay, there you go. I'm gonna unmute Paul. Okay, there you go.
That's
So yeah,
fine.
Paul. So anyone needs to ask anything, just let me know and I'll unmute you. So, okay. So Paul, do you understand what's happening here? So from it's like you're crossing a, you have a very orderly. You're accessing everything in a very orderly manner, right?
So basically, you're jumping right away to the page you needed, right?
Exactly. So I don't have to go through, I don't have to create like a bunch of different things to just access it. Um, so this is my homepage. Then this is me clicking on the products tab. Then this is me getting top tech. And then whatever I have inside of top tech, I can actually access that too. But right now I have nothing in here. So basically that's the point of having a UI. It's to be able to access everything in a very orderly manner. So, this is a very small framework, but if you have a huge framework, you'd get lost. So you would need to set things up in a way that you can access them directly, without having to go through all these different. You won't be lost either. You'll be saying, hey, look, I'm clicking on the navigation. I'm clicking on the products, then I'm clicking on the get top, and then it's returning me all the elements from that page or whatever I created for that specific page. So um, that's the main point. There is no it's doing something very unique, like returning. You could probably just create a separate class that does this, but this way you would have a very orderly structure.
No, I'm not questioning the purpose. I'm just trying to understand the logic, the algorithm, what's coming after what.
Yeah, so that's basically it. But any questions, like what is confusing you exactly? Like, what is still like, what is that question mark in your head that's confusing you?
No, no, now it's getting clearer because when Mafi was explaining it was like very quickly, and that definitely was for the people who have the idea in coding in Java, but I don't. I do have some scripting experience, but nothing in Java. So for me, it was like everything in so short period of time, so I was lost completely.
Right.
Last week I was able to pick up some stuff, but again, now I'm like on the level of just getting into the pageFactory level, yeah. And it's not clear for me right now yet what's the difference between pageFactory and UI.
Okay. So let me go briefly over what a page. So a page factory is it's basically it's also called page object model. So it's like a repository that contains web elements and methods regarding that specific page, right? So
So
now
I'm sorry. So in what cases we want to do it? Sorry for interruption. I just
no,
want to.
that's fine. So a very good example might be if I, for instance, let me log out here, right? Um,
Yeah, thank you.
create a My Best Buy account. So this could have its unique page factory. So what would you have? You would have the first name field, the last name field, an email field, a password field, and confirm password field. So you wouldn't have to create a page factory. For instance, if you have a UI layout like this, right? If you have a UI layout like this, you would not have to create a page factory because these are essentially page factories on their own. This is actually a page factory because not products, but for instance top tech. So if you go to products and top tech, so after you create a bunch of items, sorry, a bunch of web elements and methods for different things regarding this page only, that is essentially creating a page factory for the page. So there is no difference between UI and page factory. UI is setting it up in a way that it's very easy for you to access, and inside those pages, anything related to that page will actually be a page factory.
All right.
Because if you see how I'm accessing this is I still have to initialize the page factory because I'm using web elements, right? So this is also, you could call it a page factory, but not exactly a page factory. Why? Because it's just for me to access these things over here. So it's not really pertaining any particular page, but I know what you mean, that it's very confusing. Hey, what is the difference, or in what scenarios do I need to create a page factory? So if you create a UI, it's very redundant if you go ahead and create separate page factories. If you have a UI that contains everything regarding that one page, then that's also considered a page factory. So you don't need to create a separate page, which is a page factory, right?
Okay, so they're not like sharp.
Um, So let's see. So let's say the thing is, this website is not very good example because this would have. So these are all dynamic. These items keep changing, right? Like top
Mhm.
consumer picks, for instance. These items will change. So you don't really have anything specific you can implement on this page because this has the same layout as your homepage, right? So you would have to probably compare and see what's exactly different. Um,
Exactly different is the checkout page because as soon as you start to like either log in or add stuff to the cart, it's going to SSL already to HTTPS.
mhm.
It's different story. So yeah, I believe like when you start to put your information before the checkout while creating account is going to be different. I mean, like,
Uh, right. So creating so for instance, what I did here was so you see how I have a proceed to checkout button, so find the store button, confirm store, continue to payment info. Um,
Furqan, so those web elements, those are from different pages or from the same page? It looks like from a different page, right?
this is yeah, these are all from different pages. Although I called it, the homepage page factory, right? But these are all from different pages. Now, this is not a very good example because you're right. This is not from the same page. But what else can you do? I mean, if if you were to create this in a separate page called checkout, you could do that too. That's probably the better method. Is like for the homepage, what you would have is only up till here because what exactly is on the homepage, right? It's the search bar. Am I correct?
Yes, and
You would
login, actually,
You would
login.
only have the search. Well, you see, now that's another thing. You can't really create a page factory for the login because that's a very common method you would be accessing in almost all of your tests, right? So you could create that in your common methods. Your
Okay,
confused,
okay.
right?
How you call the methods from the UI and a page factory in a test?
How do I call them? Okay, so let's see.
Because I do understand you can extend one class, like.
Um, Actually, that has nothing to do with extending. The only reason I'm extending them is to, uh, my main purpose in extending is to be able to access all these general purpose methods. Why is that important? Is because of the driver. If you're not able to extend the general purpose methods, in the end, you won't be able to access the driver over here. If I get rid of this, do you see how it says driver
Mm-hmm,
not found? So
mm-hmm,
once I extend the general, sorry, not general purpose, but in this case, the products, it'll let me access the driver. How is it doing? This is actually, it's sort of multiple inheritance. Java technically doesn't allow it, but it only allows, extending one class at a time. But you can do it sort of indirectly. So you see how in my common methods, I have extended general purpose methods. And then in navigation, I need to use common methods. So I just extend. I mean, I need to use general purpose method. So I can, yeah. So it inherits a class that inherits a class, right? So that's inheritance is very important in Selenium because you would probably need methods from your base class in other classes, but at the same time you might need methods from like another class. So while
mm-hmm.
you're inheriting, right, from class A to class D, so let's say you're inheriting class B and class C, so class D needs class B and class C as well. So if you inherit from class A to class B to class C, then class D. So this way, class D will be inheriting class C, class B, and class A. Does that make
Okay.
sense? Or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So for instance, login test here is actually class E or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's general purpose is class A, class B is common methods, right? Class C is navigation, class D is products, and class E is actually top tech. I mean, I'm not really extending, so you could say class D is this products one, and class E is this login test. So it's inheriting like 5 different classes. So Now, how would you actually access anything from TopTech, right? So how are you accessing it? You have your navigation homepage UI, where you have a method called products view, which returns everything from products, right? Which returns everything from products. So this statement over here allows you to access everything inside of here. So to do that, first you would need to call this method inside here, and then after you get everything from products page, you would need to access this method in order to get to this class. So you can do that by first you would. So another thing which is important is if in each of these pages, if you're actually creating web elements. So for instance, here I'm not creating any web elements, but here, sorry, here I am actually creating one web element, right? So wherever you're creating whichever class you're creating web elements, you need to pageFactory init element. So you need to initialize its elements. This is important because it actually this lets you create those elements before you access them. Otherwise, it's going to give you a null pointer exception.
And you cannot have such like two of these statements in the same test, right?
You can actually.
I can, right? It's not a problem.
No, it's not a problem. You see over here, for instance, I'm initializing two different.
Uh-huh.
I'm initializing that same. So for instance, wherever I have to call in the login, array list, I will. So wherever I'm calling a login, I have to initialize that common methods pageFactory, right? So if I was actually trying to access login here, I would have to do that here as well. So the thing is,
So
these
it's not a
tests.
problem to call driver from different method twice. I mean, from the different methods in the same.
No, it's not a problem. No, it's not. Yeah.
It's just not going to open the new page and stuff.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so if you say, hey, UI dot, so your UI is a reference object for your navigation homepage menu, right? So in here, as I said earlier, we created a method called products U, right? Which lets us access everything from products. So if you call that method products U, and then you press another full stop, right? Another dot, and you will be able to access everything from products now.
Okay.
You see, get top tech, this is from products.
That's smart.
And then inside of TopTech, if you actually, I just create an empty method, public void do something. Sorry. Yeah, public void do something. And it's not going to do anything. I'm just creating a method, so just to show you. So over here, do something. You can actually access it here.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why it's like in an orderly manner. You're going to your products view, which is clicking on your products, and it's returning everything that has inside. It is clicking it's clicking on products view, and then it's returning everything inside of this products, right? So if I had more methods, you will be able to access those as well. So let's run this and see how this works.
Yeah, you probably should call method for the closing pop-up because it's a method. It's.
Oh, you're right. I actually have that in my login. Let me stop this. Wait. What? Empty test suite? What do you mean by that? Oh, I think I ran the class. Sorry, that was a mistake. Yeah, but I need to do that thing first. So initially it's in here, right? Sorry, where did I create that?
Yeah, I was also would be interested to see how you create it.
Okay, so this is the close pop-up, right? This is basically this will click on that cross, that small cross on that pop-up, right? So this is in my common methods. So how do I access this? So since it's going to be where does my it starts here, right? I can actually call that here. So how do I call that here? I can do this. Is equal to pageFactory.init.
And also, when you create the object, it doesn't really matter how many objects you create in one test, right? Is there no limit?
It doesn't matter. Nope. It doesn't matter how many you create.
Okay.
So what exactly did I need to access? So I'll need to create a method to access this. So let me just quickly create a method. Close pop-up, right?
Oh man, I created already eight tests with huge quantitative methods, and now I have to redo it.
Yeah, that's why I said if he actually went over that UI thing in the beginning, we would probably have created like a UI for instead of creating all those different classes. So it ended up being a little redundant, but so I just created a method that's gonna click on that close pop-up.click, right? So in order to access this in another class, I need to create a method. I can't directly access that web element. Unless I'm actually extending this class, right? Am I? If I am, I might be able to. But let's see. I think I am extending that, right? So I should be able to directly access that. What was that called? Pop-up. Yeah, close pop-up.click. Right. So I can't access it, but I still need to initialize this pageFactory because otherwise it'll give me a null pointer exception. So now let's run it.
And when you calling this close pop-up, you don't create the instance of the method where it's actually sits, right?
Actually, so if this was a regular method, so for instance here, if if I wasn't creating these web elements, I could call like if I was creating a regular method, let's say instead of using this web element, I was saying driver dot find element by dot xpath, sorry, CSS.
I got it.
And whatever. So this is the CSS it's using, right? So if I were to put this inside of here, and now I'm not creating any web elements. So this method I can directly call inside of this method I can directly call without creating this pageFactory. But since I'm creating a web element, you always have to do this. Otherwise, as I said earlier, it's going to give you a null pointer exception. That means that if it doesn't call the pageFactory initialize elements, the element is going to have no value at all. It's not going to set that XPath or that CSS locator to the element.
So one
It
more time,
always,
close
yeah,
pop-up sits in a common methods, right?
yeah, close pop-up sits in the common methods.
And you can access this method because you extend this class, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, thank you.
That's the only reason. Yep. Now I need to see what is it happening here. Okay, let me go back to this. I need to change something here. Okay, this thing. Okay, now let's run this. What's wrong with this? So what happened? Wait, what? Is it because no? Cannot instantiate class test login test, but why? Oh, is that why? I think I know why.
Please comment.
Oh, sorry. No, I just want to see if this works. If it works, I'll just say what I exactly did because it's saying not instantiating because, whoops. Let's run this. Okay, there you go. So, yeah, you see, it was giving me a null pointer exception because at the class level, I was trying to create instantiate a list, but you know, you can't do that. You can like you can reference it here, but you always have to instantiate inside of a method. So what I was doing here was instantiating it and at the same time adding a value to the list. It doesn't allow you to do that at class level. You have to do it inside a method. So I'm just declaring a list at the class level, an array list, and then inside the list I'm adding those elements we were looking at earlier. So these elements right here. So now let's run it. Come on, this work.
Sorry, Bilal. It took an hour.
Okay, now let's see why our test failed. Products menu dot click. I think I need to sleep it, or I could use another thing, but because it goes so fast, it doesn't really recognize the element. So let's sleep it. What now? Okay, add exception. So do you see what happened here? You were able to directly navigate to that top tech page, and then you did something. Now that do something would be, any method you do regarding that top tech class. Does that make sense now, or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so basically, I would suggest you not creating like this is a lot of stuff. It's like deal services. A lot. Just maybe just make a UI for this right here. And maybe some of these, but don't do it for everything. That's because that would be huge and a lot of work. The basic idea is that you understand what's going on, and if you create like a massive UI, that would be a lot.
No. I'm not trying to create anything massive. Actually, I was trying to understand, and after that, since Matthew wants to have, as far as I understood, he wants to see the complete test case from adding, from searching the item to adding item to the cart
Right.
and
Okay, so that I have something prepared for you. So a complete flow, what he's expecting it would be like something close to this, but it's gonna stop at one point. I'll show you why. So let's run this. So here you're going to be logging in first. Well, obviously he's gonna close that, and then you're signing in. Um, that I use the database to get. And you're searching for I'm searching using the model number.
You're smart. You log in first.
Whoops, it failed somewhere. Why did it fail? Add to cart dot click. Sometimes when it goes so fast. So let's run it again. Or maybe it had to do with. So I kept on adding to the cart. I believe if you have more than 3, it doesn't let you add anymore. Let's see how many I have in my cart. Yeah, so if you search using the model number, it's unique. So click on it and add to cart. You see this item has a quantity of 3. Let me remove it from my cart first. I already have 3 in my cart. Here, let's sign in first.
Okay, so you trick this because I search first and you log in first.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So you see, that's the flow he was talking about. You need to log in. You add to cart, then you might have to add credit, but I wouldn't recommend adding credit card info. But if you show him that flow you're going with, I think he'll be fine with it.
Okay.
You don't need to add a credit because it does ask you for a phone number. You see, I have three in my cart. Let me remove. Uh,
You fan of PlayStation?
oh yeah. So any item you want to search. I don't know. Let's say.
No, I'm just kidding. You have three in a car.
Yeah, I had three in my cart. So everything would have like a model number or something unique. So you could probably use this SKU number to search because these are unique to phones, right? So you can use these to search, and exactly only that one model will pop up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's run again. Or you could do Web ID.
Gosh, man, how much time it took you to do this
Mm,
test?
15 minutes.
What? 15 minutes?
Yeah, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So it's saying no thanks, I don't want any additional stuff. And now it's gonna search for like a store locator because I'm doing pickup, and then that's it. So what it did was, since it went very fast, let me manually go over it. So it searched for that specific model number for that PlayStation. Let's just search it manually though.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 53500 something. Not this one. Anyway, it was like one of these PlayStations. I forgot which model number. And then it added to cart. Uh, Sorry, there's an issue with your cart. Yeah, of course you won't let me select anymore. Okay. After that, I just said no thanks. You could have more test cases which allow you to put, these, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you would do is you would click on this and then this, but in my case, I just said, hey, no thanks, just go to my cart. And after that, it went here, and then it just clicked on checkout. After checkout, so since I'm picking up by hand, so I'm going to pick it. I'm going to pick it up. I'm not shipping it. So I'll click on find the store, and well, it uses your location. So to me, this is the closest one. If any other is close to you, you could always click on that one, but this one's the closest. So continue, and I stopped over here because next it would actually ask me to put my phone number. I didn't want to give them my phone number. And then you would go to continue information, to payment information, then you could add credit cards. But this is not recommended because why would you want to put your credit card, right? So you would have to stop here. But you could show it to him till here, and this is like the flow he was talking about. So what we did was we logged in. We logged in first. So we logged in, then we searched, then we went to the item, then we put it in cart, then we selected a bunch of different options. So that's the flow he was talking about.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, that's about it. I mean, you could do that with other things too.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Best Buy do the phone verification before checkout. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, plus I'm pretty sure they're not happy with you automating their website either because sometimes it starts giving me cart issues. It's giving me cart issues because I kept on opening the cart and putting stuff in, and then it said, "Hey, what are you doing?" So it said cart not available to you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's about it. Any other questions that's still bothering you?
Yeah, I have another question.
Sure,
Who's
go
going to
ahead.
be the next president of the United States?
I
No,
don't
thank you very
know.
much, man. Thank you very much.
No, no problem. No problem at all. Sachin, you have a question? I know you were saying something about array list earlier. Um, okay, let me unmute you and you can ask me directly. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Yes, Sachin.
Yeah, Furqan, I had a question about the
Go ahead.
array list you did. These are web element too, right?
No, this is not a web element. So it
The
will
array
be
list you.
a web element when you do this at find by. This creates a web element, a unique web element right here. So this is when you're creating a web element. When you do this over here, you're just using that driver to to grab all the elements inside of here and store it in a list. This is not considered a web element.
Oh,
Yeah,
you could
it's
do that
just
too instead of But here, line 14, right?
oh
It
sorry.
does say it's list of web elements.
It is a list of web elements, but it's a list. It's still not like it's of web elements, but it's a list. It's not creating like a separate variable that's of type
Web.
web element, right? I mean, actually, this list is of type web element, but just it's a container rather than an element. It's not a web element like specifically just one web element. Or you could actually make this also a web element if you do this.
Yeah, find by and do the
Right. So
XPath.
this would actually, so then you would have to call a pageFactory initialization. So you would
Okay.
have to, right, right. But in this case, it does not.
You
It's
don't
just
have
like a
to. Okay.
container. Yeah, you don't have to do it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's yeah. Thank you, Furqan.
No problem. No problem. Okay. So let's see. Let me get rid of this. Okay. So a few people were asking me about Jenkins. So let's go over that. Localhost 80. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe to run from Jenkins, you need to have Maven, the Maven plugin. So you know how you would be able to run in Maven over in your project. So you would have to have that set up before you actually go to Jenkins and try to build your project. So for that, if you go to your project POM.xml, and then you would need to add these dependencies and plugins. I mean, not dependent, just the plugin. So the first plugin would be your Apache Maven plugin. Um, it's called that's the group ID, and the artifact ID for that is the compiler plugin, Maven compiler plugin. The version I believe there's a later version than this. Doesn't matter. You could use this one. And then you would need the Surefire plugin. So these two are the plugins you need. Each of them have a bunch of different configurations. I'm not quite very how do you say it? Like very experienced in this because this has multiple configurations you can have. But you could just use this one, redirect test output to a file, and you need to add your suit XML file so it knows where to run, where to find all the parameters, and where you need to where the runner is. So this contains your parameters, this contains your test classes, so it knows which test classes to run. Um, right. So for instance, here I have only the BestBuy runner. Uh, so you create that in your properties. So inside your properties here, you call something, just like something called BestBuy runner, and then you add your XML file name inside of it, and you close it, and then this is the source encoding. So UTF-8 over here, you need to add that as well. That's about it for this properties, and over here you would need to add your profile IDs and the modules you're using. So this is like sort of a template. I have this on GitHub, and this is also on the framework November 2016. So you can actually take a look at that. So if you once you have these set up, if you just go to your local Jenkins, So to access Jenkins, you just have to type in localhost 8080, and admin and whatever your password is. Um, After that, I don't know. Yeah, I actually have this on GitHub. So before I forget, let me go to GitHub, my profile. I just made it right here. Oh, somebody has their hand raised up. Oh, Sachin. Sachin, do you still have a question? You have your hand up. Okay, so yeah, I already pushed this code to the GitHub, so if you want, you can grab it from that link. So in your Jenkins, I don't know if you guys have actually Jenkins set up already, like Maven. I mean, I assume you guys do. Does anyone have any issues with that? We did in ones in class. Yes, that's correct. So if you go to Manage Jenkins and I believe it's Global Tool Configuration, right? So over here, you would need to add your JDK and just call it JDK. And you would need to give your JDK home, your Java home directory.
Hey, did you able to set the Jenkins so it's automatically built as soon as he sends a new push from the GitHub?
I think you would need to configure that in settings. I haven't tried that yet, but we'll take a look over that if I can figure it out.
No, it's not necessary. It's I guess it's too much already.
No, I didn't take a look at it. Yeah, I just installed Jenkins back today. It was giving me an issue. It was giving me issues, so I uninstalled it. I just reinstalled it today, just to show. Yeah.
I
So
had a problem on Sunday. Bilal was looking at it, and I just had to update Java. So what I read on a forum, they say the Java on your local machine. Oh, you're running it's local, right?
yeah.
I have a remote Jenkins, and they're saying Java on your on like whatever you build your application, or whatever, on your IntelliJ machine, and Jenkins supposed to be the same version.
You Jenkins. So you have Java on another machine? Is that what you're saying? Is it on remote?
I have a Jenkins remote.
Okay, okay. So it's not the same version as the Jenkins you have installed on the machine
No,
you're
I don't have a Jenkins locally. I have it on the remote.
only remote. Yeah. So the error is that it's not the same version?
Yeah, for some reason the Jenkins couldn't build. It was a bunch of errors.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
I'm not too sure. I would have to take a look at the errors. I mean, even that I could probably just give you a wild guess, but I assume it would have to do that your project itself has errors in it, like um
as
your
soon, as
a
soon
bit
as as soon as I clean the older Maven, when you clean it removes the target folder.
right, it removes the classes folder and the target classes folder, right?
Yeah, so I cleaned the project and updated Java JDK on a Jenkins server, and it ran fine.
I think it's not the Jenkins, but I believe it would be your project itself. Oh, no, he wasn't able to compile it because the JDK was the one he was. Oh, okay, okay. So set to 1.8 and maybe server at 1.7. So yeah, that might be the issue.
Mm-hmm.
What Bilal said.
Yep.
Hmm. Okay, so let's go over this. So and then you would have to just set in your Maven home. Um, I assume everybody would know where their Maven home is, right? It's in your Apache Maven file. Um, so I believe these are the only settings you need to configure. Now, if you go back to your dashboard, I don't know if you guys actually installed, but to actually create a new item of the Maven project type, you need to add a plugin. I forgot the plugin name, but if you go to Manage Jenkins and Manage Plugins, yeah, Maven integration, there you go. So let's see installed. If you do not have this plugin called Maven Integration Plugin, you would have to install this plugin to be able to. So when you try to create a new project, you would need this new. This is your name, so whatever you want to name your project, right? And then you would have to once you install the plugin, you'll have this option for a Maven project. So actually, let me just show you guys then. Let's call it I don't know, framework and Maven project, right? And you click on OK. And then you could just load your code from, so it allows you to access your code from GitHub. So this is the code we're using right now. So if you just copy your repository and paste it here. You need the Maven integration plugin. One second. Let me leave. Is that installed? Yeah. This one right here, Maven integration plugin. I believe that's the only plugin we installed. I'm not sure if we got any other plugins. I don't remember. But after that, once you set up your project and you link it to your Git repository, you'll be able to build it. If you say build now, it's going to build it. So it's going to build it and it's going to run it. And then it'll show you if you have any errors or not. This takes a little time. I believe last time it took over 1 minute. So I believe the process here, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe, I'm sure Bilal would also have an idea. It uses however you run the Maven runner inside of your project. So if you run the root, if you test your root, it runs all the modules and it runs each and every test suite you have in your in every module. I believe if you run in Jenkins, it does the same thing. Yes, you need to have the configuration in your POM XML for it to run in Jenkins. In the root POM, yes, like this. You would need to add these right here. In your root POM and then separately in your project, which XML. So Git to grab, JDK to compile, and Maven to run. I don't think you need Git plugin. I believe it comes with the Git plugin. So right, it's done. It's done compiling. There are tests, there are failures. What did you fail in? That's weird. I'd probably let's run it here. What failure did we have? Is that the right one? Anyway, I don't know why it failed. When I pushed it, it was working just fine, but it probably sometimes it has some issues. It might not have like when I ran it earlier, it was just fine. Um, Not sure why it failed, but test run. Oh, failure 0. Anyway, this won't really show you like what exactly is what exactly is like it won't run your test, like it's not going to open your browser or anything. It's just going to run your test and then it's going to show you, hey, you had this many failures, or maybe it skipped some or something like that. So if it passes, it's just going to say, hey, run 1, failure 0, error 0, skip 0. That's all the output it's going to give you. And I'm not sure if it generates a report or anything as such. Test result. Yeah, same output when you would get, yeah, from IntelliJ and when using Maven. So I guess the purpose of this is to be able to run tests on like a scheduled time. Plus, you would also be able to use cloud environment, right? So scheduled or triggers, right? So that's about it. I mean, is there anything else I can add, or is there anything else you want to add to this, Bilal, like to Jenkins, or is that basically what it do? Mainly, yes. That's all. Yep.
You also can set up so it sends email if build is failed.
I'm sorry.
You can set up automatic email so Jenkins will
Oh,
send email
okay. If the
if build.
build is failed,
Mm-hmm.
that's yeah. Okay, so I'll inform you. Um, I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of other things you would probably be able to do, but since I'm not experienced enough,
No, it's a really nice thing.
but it is good that So I believe this is the basics. The basic you would need to know is that how to run it in Jenkins. Um, I can go over Sauce Lab. I still haven't really taken a look at Browser Stack. So mainly, well, in which project is this? Yeah, that's a mentoring framework. So if you just grab his code, what you would need to do is so if you want to use a cloud environment, let's just use this framework we're using. So um, you could just change this to true. And this is, I believe I created this not too long ago, so I should still be able to access it. Let's see if it runs. If it doesn't run, let's troubleshoot it. Oh, error. Oh, I think I know why. Platform browser version. Hmm, interesting. Let's change it to Mac. think it's okay. Let's put OS 6 as well. There you go. Is it all together or just separate? Oh, just OS X. It's running. I assume it's running. Let's open up our Sauce Labs. Oh, this might cause an issue because of the teardown method. I think it's still driver.close. Let's go back to teardown. Oh no, it is driver.close. Okay, so there you go. It's running. So this is the test we're actually manually performing, and it's I mean, the main purpose would be, first of all, number one, it records your tests. Number two, you don't have to have actually. So I'm running a test on a Mac, but I don't own a Mac, right? So I can use their, I don't know if they're using, I assume they're using virtual machines, right? So I can test my, I can test my test on different platforms and different browsers at the same time. So that would be the main purpose. And I assume you can also run automated tests on this as well, like schedule tests, rather than you having to maintain. So test complete. So once the test is complete, you can go back and watch it, right? So it told me here it's successful. And over here you have a video. So you have like a record of what. Let me just close this. I think it runs a little slower compared to your original machine. Oh, actually, it depends on your computer. If you, I mean, I assume their virtual machines are, yeah, it's fast. I assume their virtual machines, or I assume they're using virtual machines. Um, they're only built for specifically this purpose. So the only thing they're doing is running, tests. So your local machine might not be as powerful as theirs, maybe. That might be the one of the scenarios. Really, or really fast servers. Nothing on them, just browsers. Yep. So that should be why it's fast. Okay. So how to set this up? I would recommend just copying his code at this point. You could probably, I mean, if you look online, it would mostly be the same way, except the way you pass the variables. Using your environment variables, for instance, how Bilal showed us, you can actually set up environment variables. Um, that's probably the only other way, or there might be some other few ways, but your desired capabilities you will need and everything is always almost going to be the same as this, and the host server you need to connect to is going to be this. So um, just take a look at his code. All you would have to do is play around with these parameters. So I would recommend just running it on Mac. Sometimes Windows give you an issue. So if I was to change this to Windows, I think it says Windows 10. Let's try it out. Let's see if it runs on Windows. Is it? I think it is. Yeah, it is. Uh, there you go. So now it's running on a Windows machine. It's actually even faster than a Mac. Haha. Yes, that's correct. You don't even need a browser to run your framework. I would assume you need an internet connection, but yeah, you don't need a browser. So it's gonna fail because this item has a quantity of limited 3 per order. I probably already have like 3 in my shopping cart, so it's gonna fail. But it's still running, so
Yeah, don't waste your time on Sauce Lab.
Sauce Labs is it's just setting up the capabilities and the parameters and whatnot. It's you can run it in cloud. Okay. Okay, I guess if no one has any questions, we can move on to how to set up APM on Windows. If you're using a Mac, I apologize because it's a lot easier on Mac, but Windows people have it hard. Um, so first thing you would need is Node.js. You don't actually have to directly use Node.js. I mean, as I think it does the APM. Sometimes I do see something regarding Node.js in the APM debug console. So just in case, just download and install Node.js. The version 6.9.4. Don't go with the 7.4. Install that one.